Great. All right, so we are going to move on to Jennifer next, and Jennifer actually has prepared a PowerPoint for us. So we're going to get that geared up in just a moment.
So as he's getting that ready, I will be talking about ageism and how it impacts us and how do we approach aging when we live in an ageist society. We have a culture that is very youth obsessed and pumps hundreds of billions of dollars into the anti-aging industry. And so I just want to give you some ideas on how to approach aging, hopefully let you laugh a little bit. And then I'll talk about some of the research and the science behind it. So, how do we approach aging? One approach is that, excuse me, we can embrace this anti-aging idea to be savvy. And there are a lot of guides that talk about how to be anti-aging. The ultimate guide of anti-aging offers 256 different ways to look younger and be younger. And if you find 256 ways to be a little daunting, the magazine More offers less. And they have 50 ways on how you can be better by embracing this anti-aging idea. And if you don't want to read about it, you can simply buy a little tincture, put a drop on your skin, and you will be anti-aging. So there's one approach to anti-aging. Okay, but Life magazine says no, anti-aging is a myth. It is the great myth. And Allure magazine is trying with all of their might to put an end to the anti-aging industry. They are putting a call out to it. So instead of anti-aging, instead we need to be anti-aging. So to be anti-aging, we need to embrace our age. We can read about it in magazines, in books. We can watch it on TV as seen on Live with Kelly and Mark. We can even embrace our age by unscrewing a cap and smearing the messaging on our skin. And that will help us embrace our age. No, but wait, there's more. We're supposed to defy our age now. There are secrets to doing it. Ask Cindy Crawford. You can even do it naturally by reading how in a book. And if you don't want to read about it, just take a pill. And you can be an age defier. You can even get this superhuman power in pill form. Just 2 capsules a day will allow you to defy your age. If you want to look younger and feel younger, you'll have to do it backwards. It's the direction you need to go to reverse the aging process. It's a New York Times bestseller after all. And you can even speed up the reverse aging process with the fast track version. It's the follow-up book. And you can reverse your age in just 30 days. So you have to go backwards. Wait, never mind. You'll need to go forward to age well. This is the new path and direction for healthy aging. If you read this book, you'll age forward, not backward. So if you want to be a savvy ager, you need to go in the right direction. Make sure you pick carefully. Aging needs to be fixed. Ask Gillian Anderson in New Beauty. She claims to have a supernatural secret to fix the issue of aging. So if you've got an issue with aging, you can fix it by reading this magazine. If you can't fix it, you can conquer it. It's the ultimate source for life extension. If you can't conquer it, well, you'll have to stop it now. Now, stop aging now. This is the authoritative New York Times bestseller. And I don't know about you, but the idea of stopping aging sounds fatal to me. And I am not ready to stop my life. If all else fails, you can renew it, you can defend it, you can perfect it, and you can reverse it, and there's even a complete system to reverse it. And if you're not confused already, well, now you can renew your anti-aging efforts, which brings us full circle, because renew means to make fresh again. And so we return to where we started with anti-aging. And even Colgate is getting in on the action to make a few bucks off of us unsuspecting folks to renew our anti-aging efforts. So, how do we approach aging? I'm going to let you pick whatever definition works for you, because it's confusing. So let's talk through these. Anti-aging. The definition of anti-aging is to stand against, to oppose, to be opposite of. To defy means to resist, to refuse to obey or yield to. Embrace is accepted. We hold closely the idea of it, and we welcome it with open arms. Renew means to extend longer and refresh after decay. Reverse means to change directions altogether. Defend is to shield and protect. We have to protect ourselves from this issue. And conquer is to take control of it and successfully overcome it. How many of you are exhausted and confused? Right? This is what we are bombarded with every single day. And I wanted to poke fun at this because we feed into this, right? It's a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry of anti-aging this, or embrace your age, or no, it's no longer anti-aging, now we have to renew it, and we have to embrace it, and we have to be anti-aging. There is so much confusion around the subject because we are a youth-obsessed culture, and we oftentimes get caught up in these ideas, and life can be difficult, right? We know this. Life is stressful, and we often lose the humor as we grow older in life. There's a study that shows that children laugh up to about 300 times a day, and older adults, you know how much we laugh once we reach like midlife and beyond? 7 or 8 times a day. Our funny bone has become osteoporotic. And so it is important to make sure that we are finding the humor in life just by going through like this kind of stuff where it's like, okay, this is ridiculous, this is silly. So how do we approach aging? We approach aging in the best way that works for us. And just kind of disregard all of the garbage out there and messaging that just doesn't even align with our values, because they're trying to make $1 off of our insecurities, our fears, and our desire to want to look like we were 40 or 50 years ago. So one of the things that I did with this whole idea of all of this messaging is wrote my women's fiction novel, Not Your Shoe Size. My personal story, and I'll just share it real quickly. I have a background in broadcasting. I went to college for it, and when I was 31 years old, and many people have heard this story, I was told I had applied for a TV reporter position, and I was told that I was too seasoned to be on TV at the age of 31. Now, you know what too seasoned means? Too old. I was 31. I was a baby. So I naturally shifted and went into a new field. I went into the field of gerontology, which is the study of being too seasoned. I figured I would fit right in with that aging population at the age of 31. Well, I am now 50, almost 51, so it's 20 years later, and I am now doing more TV than ever. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, because I work in these two opposing fields, right? I work in TV where you have to look young. You're told you're too seasoned. You don't get your contract renewed if you're looking a little too, well, worn out. On the flip side, working at AARP, it's all about embracing your age, right? And overcoming obstacles to still live your best life and push yourselves to do amazing things later in life. So I live out these two opposing viewpoints every single day in my dual roles. And so I captured it in my women's fiction novel where the two characters have very opposing views on how to age well in an ageist society. The one character, Julia, embraces her gray hair, her wrinkles, and her geriatric marshmallow puff shoes. And Colette is chasing the elusive fountain of youth wearing stilettos. And they're lifelong best friends, and they're aging in life together. Each chapter is a decade of their life, and they're learning from each other and trying to dispel the myths that they both hold on to. And so I wanted to be able to capture the story of aging in a witty way, because Most books that exist out there are all nonfiction books with footnotes. I wanted to write a book about shoes that didn't have footnotes, and wanted to make it very humorous and witty and charming, because that's what aging is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. It is an adventure. And when we reach that point in our minds where we think, oh, this is it, we have unfortunately lost the battle. And it's not about your health, it's about your mentality.
Jen, that has given us so much food for thought. And by the way, the book is a very, very fun read. I really enjoyed it. So for any of you who are interested, she does have books for sale at the table of Kelso Homes. But let's talk about, from your experience then, why is someone's outlook on aging so important?
So historically, the traditional bell curve of aging is what showed how we approached life. Childhood, it was easy, it was, kind of nothing exciting necessarily happened at that point. Then once we reach midlife, that's where the peak is. That's where things get great. And I remember when I had turned 40, my family threw me a surprise birthday party, and they had all of the decorations that were like tombstones and over the hill, and everybody wore black. And I thought, oh my gosh, is this really as good as it gets? I am at the peak of life at 40, and it all goes downhill from here. That was very upsetting. I had a very hard time turning 40 because I just thought it is doom and gloom. But this is the idea that people hold on to, that the bell curve, it's like over the hill, that once you reach that mid-stage of life, that it's all downhill from here. And if you put a couple of eyes on that, it looks rather sad. So here's where some of the research comes in. There is a researcher by the name of Dr. Becca Levy, and she conducted research to look at what are the negative detrimental effects and what do they do to our lives. So if we hold on to this idea that aging is downhill, that it's all about decline and slowing down, what does that do to us? So through the research that she conducted, she found that people that have a positive self-perception of aging live 7.5 years longer than those with negative self-perceptions. So let's put that in the reverse. If you have a negative view of aging, that it's downhill, decline, slowing down, nothing's left in life, there's nothing left to do, you will shorten your life by 7.5 years. And that is the research. So we tell ourselves things, how do we perpetuate this idea of like downhill and ageism, that kind of thing? There's 3 types of ageism. There's internal, and those are the messages that we tell ourselves. Like, I'm too old for that, or I can't do that at my age. It's those self-limiting beliefs that we have that we hold on to. Then there's interpersonal ageism. That's when we give somebody a Maxine greeting card that says something like, you're 42, look how old you are. Or we say, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And so it's the type of messaging that occurs between people. The third type then is institutional ageism. This occurs in the workplace, where you're told you're too seasoned, or you're demoted because the company is going in a fresher direction. Often it's rampant in the workplace. It also shows up in healthcare. When you go to the doctor's office and they use elder speak, right? This is where they're like talking in the patronizing, childish tone, like, how are you doing today, sweetie? Are you taking your medications? Or you go with a caregiver and you're the patient, but who are they talking to? Instead of you as the patient, they're talking to the caregiver. That is ageism. So this is where it shows up in our society, and yet it's so subtle, it's subliminal, that we often don't even realize that it's there. But once we start becoming aware of it, seeing it in greeting cards, seeing it in the doctor's offices, wherever, we just had this election where the biggest question was, how old is too old to be the president of the United States, right? That was the biggest question. We also see it in images. So AARP and Getty Images actually joined forces to come out with positive age-friendly photos to be used. Because most photos that you see, it's kind of like, you know, a person is walking with a cane down a path and it looks like they're moving on to heaven, right? That is what messaging looks like. Instead of it being, hey, they're playing pickleball, or they're riding bikes, or they're on the floor playing with their grandkids. And so the messaging is also in the pictures that we see as well. So AARP and Getty Images created thousands of photos that are now being used out in the marketplace to show a positive view of aging rather than this idea of slow and decline. All right, so a secret to being a savvy ager is having the positive perception of aging, which can actually help you to live longer. And here's another nugget of truth about positive aging. The best is yet to come. Further research shows that happiness increases after middle age, and this pattern shows up around the globe. So all around the world, people actually get happier as they get older. And it's referred to the U-curve of happiness. And the data show that on average, life satisfaction drops during midlife and begins its recovery again around age 50. So at that stage of life where I was 40 and I thought I was at the peak and I thought, oh my gosh, this vantage point is just desperate looking. I'm now essentially at the bottom of that U-curve of happiness, and I see that life is getting more fun. I look with more hope, and the fact that once you reach the age of 60, your happiness levels actually surpass that of what they were when you were in your 20s. So the good news is that life actually gets happier as you get older. So if you put a couple of eyes on this, it looks rather happy. And we become happier because the biological, cognitive, and emotional changes of aging allow us to regulate our emotions better. We have greater self-control over those emotions and the ebbs and flows of life and the things that are thrown at us. We have a greater sense of compassion. We have deeper gratitude, and we have a focus on meaningful engagement in the present. And as we grow older, our priorities change. They shift towards savoring life more, savoring love, savoring being in the present moment. And gratitude for what matters most is easier to experience when life's fleeting nature becomes more pronounced at the end of life. And so as we become happier, as we grow older, we become happier, and we can also contribute to having a positive perception about aging.
Great. What do you think of that, guys? So important. So, Jen, can you share some examples of people that you know who you would consider savvy seniors?
Yeah, so working in AARP, again, has given me just this incredible vantage point to see remarkable stories. And when I first started working there, one of my first projects and assignments was to help Encore entrepreneurs start businesses across the state of Michigan. And I worked with a woman in Traverse City she was in her 70s, and she had been a realtor her whole life, and she lost her business when the economic turn of 2008 and the real estate housing market crashed, and she lost her business, and she said, I can't retire. So she went into business at the age of 70 with her two sisters who were also in their 70s. They brought to market their family's secret recipe for cherry ice cream topping, and they got it into major retailers, including Whole Foods and Meijer, and they ended up selling it for a lot of money. And they were in their 70s, and their mantra is, if we three grandmas can start a business, anybody can. In addition to that, other stories. So like when we think, okay, I'm too old to write a book, I'm too old to go skydiving, I'm too old to find love, I want to push back against that. So if you've ever said, oh, I want to start a business, but I'm too old for that. Well, Colonel Sanders established the Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant at the age of 65. And at 74, he grew it to 600 franchises and sold it for millions. If we ever say, I'm too old to publish a book, because everybody has like a story to tell, right? If we ever say that, well, Laura Ingalls Wilder published Little House on the Prairie at the age of 65. If you ever want to pursue your hobbies and think, it's too late, well, Grandma Moses, the renowned American folk artist, didn't begin painting until she was 78. If you think that you're too old to test fate, well, Yuichiro Miura became the oldest person to reach the top of Mount Everest. He hiked it and climbed it at the age of 80. If you think you're too old to do something death-defying, well, he became the world's oldest bungee jumper at the age of 96. So if you're 95, you've got nothing to talk about. And he didn't even begin jumping until he was 88. If you want to do something less death-defying, well, Rosemary Smith became the oldest person to drive a Formula One race car when she was 79. If you ever want to build your endurance and not sure if you have the strength for it, well, Harriet Thompson, a cancer survivor, ran her first marathon at the age of 76 after surviving cancer. And at 91, she completed her 15th marathon, becoming the second oldest marathon runner in U.S. history. If you ever think, I'm too old to get in shape, all right, these love handles aren't going anywhere. Well, Ernestine Shepherd, recognized as one of the world's oldest bodybuilders, she was nearly 80 when she became the world's oldest bodybuilder. And she's currently 88, and she still is ripped. And she was 56 when she says that she was a sedentary, well-padded slug, her words. And she didn't start bodybuilding until her 70s, and she's still active, teaches fitness, and appeared in a Beyonce video. And if you ever want to find love again and think that it's too late for you, well, guess what? It's not. George and Doreen Kirby set a world record as the oldest couple to marry with a combined lifespan of 194 years, 280 days. They said their vows on George's 103rd birthday, when Doreen, being 91 years and 280 days old, she was 91 at the time. So, if you ever think you're too old to do anything, think of the examples of people that have done it, and that's what you need to focus on.
Jennifer, that is awesome, and I'm just going to follow that up with, and Mom, I hope this is okay, that my mom met her husband at this series at 80. So for any of you that have senior friends, just keep that in mind. We're here to empower you in a lot of different ways, okay? So